and then you have to go to Facebook.
I know.
This is the 7th year. Oh, you know what? I did not put anything in the...
Go do it.
Just click up there, and I'll type it from here.
Click where? Right here?
The top right.
Right here?
Right there, yeah. I forgot to do it.
Daughters. 7 daughters.
Uh-oh, I didn't spell daughters right. Ooh, wow, that went fast.
You definitely need to spell
7
it right.
Daughters. We don't have one to
Blame it on.
blame it on. Okay. Hit save.
It's vainglory. Vainglory is one word.
Yeah. Hit save, and then... I mean, we could actually blame it on Juan still. I think that we actually should.
I think we should.
I think he would want that.
I don't think he would mind, honestly.
He's a good friend.
He is. The best, really.
He's a good friend. Okay. Let's roll. Let's do this. This is going to be fun.
It's so fun. I'm excited for this scotch.
I am too, man.
Okay, you ready?
I mean, how many times do I...
Are you ready? I need just a yes, sir. Would that will work?
Signal.
Today, I am here to give you the assurance that I have not forgotten you.
If we want to see the new evangelization become more than just jargon, if we want to see it grow legs and gain traction and change the world, we have got to take seriously our responsibilities as husbands and fathers, and especially as sons of God.
I want to propose to you then that something that our world is desperately in need of in the midst of this crisis is Catholic Christian masculinity.
If you want to be a good father, then bring your children to confession with you.
Sit down.
I can't get there unless I become a man of ascesis, a man of asceticism, a man of training.
A man not doing penance, a man not disciplined is not a man.
You guys have
I like
upped
it.
your game.
You know what, guys? I gotta say, I love the concept of man show.
Stop.
Warning: the Catholic Man Show is about to begin.
Wait. Feels good to be back in studio. For whatever reason, it just feels like it's been a while since we recorded.
It has been like 9 days instead of 7.
So,
But on a percentage basis, that's a big change.
it's a huge change.
That's a big delta.
Yeah. Welcome to the Catholic Command Show. We are on the Lord's team, the winning side, so raise your glass. Adam Minahan here, sitting with David Niles. Juan's not here, so we're going to blame him for everything that happens this evening that goes wrong.
We're just going to throw him under the bus. Like, really needlessly, honestly.
And throw it in reverse.
Back it up.
Yep. And then carry on.
You know why? Because he can take it.
He's a good man.
He is.
We have Jimbo Baggins with us this evening as well.
Hey, Jim.
Jim, good to have you along for the ride. So,
Jim, you're looking good today.
Looking good. I like the salmon color.
It's a nice color on you.
It's
Coral.
Really brings out
I think
your eyes.
we've actually already had this conversation, and I got it wrong that again, but whatever. So the about
is it coral? Check the tag. Does that say coral? Does it really say coral?
Jim, take your shirt off.
To me, that's more of like it's like aggressive salmon. That's what I would call it.
So the other day, I had a dream that we were recording, and I don't normally remember most of my dreams, right?
Okay.
So we were recording the Catholic Man Show.
Yeah.
We were in the first segment.
Like right now.
Like right now.
Okay.
And we had run out of things to say for the episode.
That is too bad.
And like I could tell, like based off of like your just reactions and like your mannerisms, like you don't have anything else.
That's all I got.
And I didn't have anything else, and at that time I go, well, I guess this is the end. And I just like put the headphones down and walked out of
It's
the
just
studio.
a short episode today, guys. Okay. We'll just run the first segment 4 times.
I actually woke up weirdly a little bit in a panic. Like I was just like, did that really happen? Did we really run out of things to say?
It is funny. Like sometimes you'll wake up from a dream like that laughing because at the absurdity of it. But then other times you wake up perturbed.
Yeah.
You know that you had to suffer through
that whole thing.
Such an ordeal.
This is the 7th year of the Catholic Man Show, though. For those who are just tuning in, we're getting some new listeners. It's been fun to have people reach out to us and join us on Patreon, and then also just like reach out and say, hey, we just found your show. For those who are just now tuning in, Dave and I have been best friends since we've been 5. We've grown up together. We've gone to the same parish together. We've lived together out of college. Like we've done a lot of stupid things together.
A lot.
We accidentally started Catholic radio stations together.
Not on the stupid list.
Not on the stupid list. We've done a lot of things together, and so this is how kind of the show has started. But in celebratory fashion, with it being a 7th year, we're going to have this evening a malt that I have been wanting to try for over 10 years and have not done it.
When we get to 50 year, our Jubilee year.
Jubilee year. Welcome to the Catholic Man Show.
We're going to go all out, all right? We're going to get like a bottle of whiskey for all of our patron members.
Oh, I got to go change my philosophy bag.
Welcome back to the Catholic Old Man Show.
Dave, it's my turn to bring us in.
For the man gear, we have Metamucil.
And prune juice.
People don't really talk about how virtuous your diet really can be.
Yeah. Oh, man. So we're going to have the Dalmore
Cigar
Malt Reserve.
This is a fantastic. I've had this whiskey before.
You have?
Yeah.
Without me? Like where?
You just weren't there. Or I didn't buy it, but I've had it before.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, this
Look, I do fancy things sometimes
without me.
when you're not looking.
This is about a $180 bottle of Scotch, which is why I've never tried it before. The notes, which the box is just awesome. It has
there are magnets.
Magnets on the lid.
You can't even see them. The magnets are hidden, but when you close it, it just snaps shut.
It's really great,
and it's very satisfying.
The aroma, it says it's cinnamon, vanilla, and red fruits. On the palate, tropical fruits, banana toffee, and vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
Finishing notes are orange zest, dark chocolate, and crushed spices. I cannot wait. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
And cheers to Jesus.
Cheers.
Iu bensium Jesu.
We're drinking out of our Catholic Metro Glencairn whiskey glasses that are logos etched with lasers. You can pick one of these up on our storefront, or if you support our show, go to patreon.com and we'll send you one.
We will send you one
for free as a thank you gift.
Just because we're nice.
Okay. So
on the nose, it is packed. Like there's a lot happening in the aromas. Yes. Double fist pumping. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. This is like if you really like somebody, you get them this bottle of
Woo!
whiskey.
Yes.
But only if you really like them.
They say it's roughly probably like this is a non-age limit distinction, but they say it's
no
probably,
age statement.
Yeah, they say it's probably about a 12 to 15 year.
So that is just melt in your mouth.
Like butter.
Yeah.
It is so good. What do you think on the yummy scale, Jim?
489.
489. I'm going to translate that to 4.89. Just we have some consistency here instead of like.
Is that the second? Is that the second highest?
Did we get a 4?
I think we had.
We got a 4.9. Did we have a 4.94?
Something like that.
I mean, we had something that was astronomically high. I don't remember what it was.
So I got to tell you the story.
Okay.
I don't tell very many stories about my
I also have a story when you're done.
Second youngest son, Leo. He's 3 years old. Don't tell a lot of stories.
He would be your third youngest. Oh, second youngest. You're going backwards.
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
You can do it that way. That's fine.
Yeah. But he is turning into one of probably the funniest kids that I have.
Okay.
incredible balance. The kid has
He does.
incredible balance.
No, I remember he was like 4 months old on a scooter.
Yeah, I mean not really, but he's 3 years old right now. He rides a bike without training wheels. For the last year, he's been riding. He has been riding.
But honestly, when he was 2.5, he was pushing around a razor scooter, full blast.
Right. Kid has incredible balance. Loves to go fast.
My 3-year-old doesn't even want to touch the balance bike. He's also like girthy, harder to balance. The girth.
Sure.
But that's just an excuse,
So
Leo he's got some
balance.
He's got some athleticism
which
in him.
In turn breeds confidence. Sometimes would say some would say maybe overconfidence.
Some might say that.
So he came in one.
Can't control what some might say.
He came in one day. Haley and I were sitting down at the kitchen table. He walks in from outside. He goes, "I want to get a dangerous motorcycle."
Yes.
And of course, my wife just melts, in absolutely not fashion. Because he realizes, he's seen the Hot Wheel ones that go slow. He wants to go fast.
Yeah, of course.
It's calm down, Ricky Bobby. But he wants to go fast. Well, one of our neighbor kids has one of those little dirt bikes. The mini dirt bikes, but they're gas powered. They go
like a mini bike.
Like a mini bike.
Yeah.
So he saw one of those, and that's what I think he came in and said. I want to get a dangerous.
He saw it and said, "That thing is dangerous.
I want to get a dangerous one." And we said, well, "You can absolutely not, under any circumstance, get on that bike. You were 3 years old."
Yeah.
One of the things about a 3-year-old being able to ride a bike is it's really cool, it's fun, but he's also 3. So the same
decision making has not caught up.
Right. So it's
with ability making.
Right. Exactly. So it's 11-year-old being able to drive a car. It's okay, that's great that you can drive a car.
How advanced of you?
Right, but that is not a good thing in other ways, right?
Yeah.
So the other day, we're Haley's outside. All the kids are outside. The bike is on the kickstand, started. Leo looks at it, beelines over there, jumps on it, kicks the stand, revs it up, goes flying down the sidewalk, snakes through multiple cars, comes back around, hits the brakes right in front of mom, who's been screaming this whole time, stops in the stud, Evel Knievel style,
kind of with a bounce stop.
And looks, and of course she is freaking out because her 3-year-old just took a gas-powered motorbike all the way down the sidewalk and around cars for his very first time to ever do it.
Parked cars.
Right.
That's a good distinction.
And of course he is getting in trouble. This is
because he knew.
But I could just tell
he was going. It's worth it.
It was worth it.
So worth it.
That was worth it.
I'd do it again.
3-year-old driving down dirt bike, coming back, realizing he was going to get in trouble, but was willing to do it. So I don't know. I pray that this is not a foreshadowing.
Are you vain glorifying this story?
Part of me, it's dang it, I gotta get you. You were in trouble, but then also kind of
but also a little bit proud of him.
Yeah.
Son, that was awesome.
That was awesome. Now get over here because you're gonna be in trouble.
Now, I won't admit that to you for at least another 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, but. Okay, ready?
Oh, this delicious.
It's so good.
This whiskey is delicious.
Do you have any cigars? You need to get the.
I think I do.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We have there's a cigar humidor behind us. You need to get the new filters in these rabbits,
right
man.
There.
Well, they've been right there.
I know, dude.
For many moons.
Well, you're right.
It's a very traditional way of me to count time. Okay.
How rad trad of you.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles, here with Adam Minahan, Jimbo Baggins. I have a story. It's not nearly as cool as your story. I've been doing something new.
Okay.
I've been on the new legume cleanse. Have you heard about this? Basically, I'm eating nothing but baked beans. for 40 days. I can't do it. I gave it a shot. Can you imagine doing that? I love baked beans. But can you only eating baked beans for 40 days?
The worst.
There are just so many ridiculous. There's a cleanse out there
For everything.
that I am convinced they are as scientific as the one I just made up.
On the spot?
Like, somebody out there is going, you know what? Let's really mess with people. All you can eat are bananas.
Juiced cucumbers.
Juiced cucumbers. Because they're the same shape.
Right.
That's why they work for the cleanse. Because they're in the same category.
Dude, we have a big announcement.
Do you?
No, we.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, the Catholic Man Show.
What is it?
You know how we're going on that pilgrimage?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We do have a big announcement.
Mr.
Kevin
Jim-
Bacon. No, not too soon?
No,
Oh, no, okay, never mind.
Mr. Jimbo Baggins himself, Jim Spencer, and wife, Kathy, way cooler than Jim.
She's definitely, I mean, she can do many things.
They're
that Jim
coming
cannot
on.
do.
They're coming on the pilgrimage.
They'll be there if you want to meet the one and
the
only
mythical
Jimbo Baggins.
Jim.
Obviously, we're going to the Middle East. We had to bring our bodyguard, so
Right, naturally.
we're making him pay. But Jim, I'm so excited you're coming.
I cannot wait for you to come. This is gonna be great. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and there sign-ups are happening right now. We have people signing up. And so go to selectinternationaltours.com/The Catholic Command Show if you want to come to the Holy Land with us right after Easter next year. Select International Tours. We went.
Can we announce who the priest, who our chaplain
No, we
is going to be?
cannot yet.
We cannot announce.
We cannot yet.
We have a chaplain. He's awesome.
Cannot wait. But
Just waiting on approval before we can announce it.
Right.
But it's going to happen. So one of the things Jim asked me before he signed up, and I don't think Jim will mind if I tell this, because I think it will be beneficial.
How much he makes before taxes every year?
Yeah. Well, we actually talk about that a lot. I'm his financial advisor. But yeah, it's not zero. You got that part-time gig, Jim. You know, that thing where the people actually pay you? Not here. But he was asking me, like, what is the, like, mobility-wise?
Yeah.
You know, what's that going to be like in the Holy Land? Now, I've never been to the Holy Land, but from what I've had many people tell us that our Holy Land trip is very it's very friendly to all ability levels, because in almost all cases we'll be able to drive the bus right up to the place we're going. Okay, very different from Rome, for instance, is not going to be always that way. Even Ireland, there were a few places where you know, we went up to like the St. Kevin's monastery.
Yeah.
Glendalough. The bus was too big. We couldn't turn it around once you got up there, right? So we actually had to walk up a pretty steep hill, a couple hundred yards, you know, and it was fine. It was raining, but
I think you're thinking. Yeah, never mind. I thought you were thinking of Cliffs of Moher, but I think you're right.
No, it was Glendalough.
Yeah.
I mean, mostly Ireland was.
That's where I
was just totally fine, but
fed a deer from my hand.
Yeah, dude. That was crazy.
That was crazy.
It was.
I have a picture of it
in
too.
a cemetery.
Yeah, in a cemetery.
Like the oldest cemetery I'd ever been in.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
I actually have a video of it, I think.
We told my kids that I was going to go and put it in a headlock.
The deer?
The deer.
That would have been a much better video.
They were so disappointed whenever that didn't happen.
So anyway, if that's something that you think, oh, I'm not going to go to the Holy Land. No, you should come, because it will work out great. Mm-hmm. No matter who you are. This is not just for men. This is for couples.
Good distinction.
This is for even like ladies groups. If you want to come with us, like,
come on.
Look, if you want to go to the Holy Land and have fun, that's what we're gonna do. We like to pray and party.
Yes.
So, if that sounds cool to you, you should come to. Oh, Jim's gonna renew his wedding vows. I'm gonna do that.
All of us that are married.
I'm gonna do that. I'm bringing my wife.
I'm gonna do that.
I want to do that. Oh, that sounds good. So anyway, and I should be done with my baked bean cleanse by the time
Good. Good.
Okay. I'm just really tickled about the baked bean cleanse.
Tell.
It's just
I think everybody can.
It's just funny.
Well,
it is just funny. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
I don't know, man. There's a lot of things that have been going on.
You know what's been going on lately? Scams. The scams are crazy. I got a phone call from PSO this week. It said PSO on my caller ID. I don't even have caller ID. So the fact that it said PSO on it was like,
was it the Nigerian king?
No, it wasn't. But it was a dude who's like, he said he knew my name and my address, and he was telling me like, oh, we have a new payment system, and we need to get you updated on the new payment system, and so that we can prevent a disconnect of your service today. This is the electric company. And I said, wait a second. Can you run that by me one more time? And he did. And I said, let me see if I understand.
Let me sum up.
Even though I paid my bill, you're going to turn off my power today because you guys decided to get a new system. And he was like, I understand, sir. It's our problem, not yours, but we do need to get you on the new system. Let me transfer you to our customer service manager. So they put me on to some other dude. And that dude said the same thing. And I said, look, man, I'm in the car right now. When I get home, I'll log on and I'll handle it from there. And he goes, yes, sir, but we need you to do this from your own device. So let me know when you have your payment app open and we can, and it was like, what? And then he upped the ante. He said, yes, sir, if we can't get you onto the new system, you're scheduled to have your power turned off in the next 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, sir, you know what? And I told him, I don't believe you. And as soon as I said that, he hung up the phone. So it's just like, God, those guys, like, I was talking to Juan about this today because he got hacked. Like, all of his stuff got hacked today. Like, his credit cards. He's getting ready to, like, take a trip, and terrible stuff. I was telling him, I think scammers are worse than murderers.
Well, Dante sure thinks so.
Yes, that's right. In fact, I told that to him, too. Like, Dante puts fraud as the lowest circle of hell. So murderers are not nearly...
Attila the Hun is at a higher level.
Yeah, Attila the Hun is actually, like, kind of at the topper echelon of hell.
Still absolutely terrible.
Still in hell. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Definitely in hell.
Right.
And in like a river, he like is up to his neck in a river of boiling blood,
which is not fun.
In the book.
Could not be fun.
Doesn't sound fun. But not nearly the depths of hell as fraud. Right. And I feel like these scammers, it's worse than murder. Like, murder is typically a crime of passion. You it's vengeance or passion or something, and you probably regret it later on, you know. And it wasn't ever like you would have never called it like, that was a success today. You didn't go home at the end of the day and be like, that was really good. I had a really great day. You know, achieved a lot of goals. But that's what the scammers do. The more they can rip you off, they count it as a success, right? And it's a win for them. And it's so incredibly disordered, it just drives me crazy. I just had to get that off my chest because
I knew we weren't going to be able to get this episode through without you talking about that. So,
well, it just happened to me, and I'm really, you know what?
Frazzled. And you know I don't use that word frazzled very
much.
I
don't say frazzled. I blew the opportunity, though. I wish I could go back.
You could have met, you could have
said,
with them.
Like, when they were saying stuff, it's like, okay, wait, okay, yep, I'm almost there. Let me
put you on hold.
Here's the thing. At the end of your life, you will have to give an account for everything you've done, sir. And I want you to take a hard, you have to like get it in real fast before they hang up on you. But that's what I wanted to do is say like, sir, at the end of your life, you will have to give an account for everything that you have done. And I want you to really think about the life choices you're making right now.
Look at yourself in the mirror right now.
Right. And you hate yourself. Because I do. I love you. But I hate your choices. And I feel a lot of bad feelings for you also.
And I also want to see you in heaven.
Yes. Once you've repented. And so much repentance. Anyway. That's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about Vainglory. And the Daughters of Vainglory. There's more daughters.
Jim.
Don't
look at me.
I don't think that St. Thomas has a very high view of daughters. And I have 4 of them. I don't have 7 yet. But I do have 4, and I think they're lovely.
They're beautiful.
I mean, just daughters in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
St. Thomas, I'm, kind of taking a stab in the dark here, but it seems like between the daughters of lust, the daughters of wrath, today the daughters of vainglory,
Don't forget about gluttony.
the daughters of gluttony, it seems like he did not have a particularly high view of daughters.
I don't think that's it. I think that's a swing and a miss.
I hope that's the case. But anyway,
So let's start out with the definition.
we'll do that on the other side of the break. We have to take a commercial break, ladies and gentlemen.
We are also a radio show. We're on Catholic Radio. Support your local Catholic radio station. Catholic radio is a great way to evangelize and spread the good news of Jesus Christ to all of those who may accidentally or providentially, whichever way you want to say, stumble upon the radio station.
Stumble across it and get accidentally addicted.
Support your Catholic radio station. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
Raise your glass. One other thing I do want to plug before we start 7 Daughters of Vainglory is Totus Tuus.
Yeah,
if your kids are of age and you have Totus Tuus in your diocese, I highly recommend you have them partake in Totus Tuus. My kids just went through Totus Tuus this week. Luke, it was really great for him. It was funny.
It is a great program.
Yeah.
Also, if you have a college kid who loves their faith and they need a good summer job,
Totus Tuus.
Totus Tuus. So my wife did Totus Tuus when she was in college, and I can just tell you that the formation that being a teacher had on her has done wonders for our home life. Like, there are a lot of traditions and things that we do in our family that come from her experiencing those things in Totus Tuus as an instructor.
Multiple priests in our diocese.
Yes. I in fact, I've wondered that. How many priests in our diocese were also Totus Tuus instructors?
Multiple.
And I think was probably pivotal in them discerning their vocation.
Yeah.
So
Totus Tuus, check it out.
Yeah.
Tulsa also has the largest Totus Tuus program in the nation.
Maybe the world.
Possibly the world.
We don't know.
Yeah. So science hasn't figured that out yet.
No. Yeah. Some things science doesn't know.
But
it's working on it.
Another reason why Tulsa is just a phenomenal place.
Tulsa's great
to raise.
If you're
Catholic family.
if you're Catholic, you should come to Tulsa.
Okay, so we're talking about 7 Daughters of Vainglory. Before the break, I said, Dave, we should start out with definitions.
Yeah.
I know you. You really like definitions.
That's right.
So why don't you hit us up with the first? Like,
so
what is
before
vainglory?
we define vainglory, let's define glory.
Okay.
So that we can say what vainglory is.
Okay.
So glory. This is all according to St. Thomas. Everything we're going to be discussing today comes from St. Thomas Aquinas.
I like that guy.
The word glory properly denotes that somebody's good is known and approved by many. Okay, so
it has to be approved by people.
Yes. Even if it's, and he goes into, it's like, oh, and maybe even it's not many. Maybe it's just you. Maybe you're the only one who knows the good, and that's enough.
By many.
It says it denotes that somebody's good. It doesn't require it, but it like kind of implies. So he goes on to clarify that. He says, but if we take the word glory in a broader sense, it not only consists in the knowledge of many, but also in the knowledge of few, or of one, or of oneself alone, as when one considers one's own good as being worthy of praise.
We're going to have Father Bonaventure Chapman on next week.
Yeah, that's good. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, who's a wonderful Dominican, just got his doctorate, his PhD from Catholic University.
Dr. Father.
Father Doctor.
Yeah, which one is first? We'll find out. We'll find out.
I want to ask him this because, like, why even say this seems a little superfluous here?
Yeah, he's taking two different senses of the word glory. That's what he's saying. But he says, but if we take the word glory in a broader sense, it can be even if just you know about the good of your own, like a good that you possess. That might be glorious. And so then he asks the question, is it sinful to, I don't want to use the word revel, but to appreciate your own goodness, a good that you possess? And he says, no. He says, it is not a sin to know and approve one's own good. But the desire for empty or vain glory does denote a sin.
So this is the example of like humility, right? Is the recognition of yourself as one truly is.
Right. Yeah.
Seeing reality
exactly.
for what it truly is.
Yeah, exactly. An accurate assessment of yourself, not an overinflated one, not an underinflated one, because that would be false humility. But simply the reality of who you are in your strengths and in your weaknesses, and of course with the recognition of where those strengths come from. God. Okay, so all of your strengths are a gift from God. Your weaknesses, you do get to own those yourself. Congratulations. That's humility. But to deny those strengths is not humility. Okay, it's like, oh, I'm the worst. Blah, blah. No, that's stupid. You're not the worst. There's probably a lot worse people than you. Okay? I mean, maybe there aren't. Maybe you are, in fact,
Somebody
the
has
worst.
to be last.
Somebody does have to be the... But that's like a continuous flux, right? There's just people being born, getting better, getting worse all the time. You don't know. And if you are the worst person in the world, you probably think that you're not. You probably think that you're awesome. You know what I mean? So anyway...
A lot of opportunity there.
A lot of opportunity. A lot of competition, I think, in the world for who's the worst person. Sadly, I think a lot more competition there than who's the best person. I think fewer people run in that race, if you know what I mean. So, how do you know if your glory is vain? He says, well, good question. Glory may be called vain in three ways. First...
Well, there's three schools of thought.
Yes, exactly. And each school of thought has four distinctions. First...
But the second of the third, that's where
the second part of the second part, yeah. So the first way that glory can be called vain is on the part of the thing for which one seeks glory. So, for instance, are you seeking...
The actual action?
Right, yeah. The thing that you're wanting to be praised for, is it actually a good thing?
Okay.
The second way is on the part of him from whom you seek glory.
Okay, so the person that sees you doing it and...
Right.
And
so and he says, for instance, a man whose judgment is uncertain. Maybe the person that you're seeking praise from is just not a good judge of good and bad, right? Okay, and so that might not be true. That might not be real glory because.
Oh, do you think that's what he means by this?
Yeah. Oh. So the person you're like seeking praise from, they're not a good judge of character. So they might be praising you for something that's not actually the right thing.
See, I thought it was for the I thought when you're reading this, I thought it was that I'm going to do this thing for glory so that I get praise from this person.
Yeah, but
not necessarily for the intention itself. So the first part is for the intention itself.
Yeah,
right?
for the act itself.
For the act itself, and the second part is to receive praise from others. That's at least the how I.
No. So it's good to receive praise from others for good reasons. Okay, so I think the clarifying thing is he actually says, second, on the part of him from whom we seek glory, for instance, a man whose judgment is uncertain. Okay, so if the man is not decisive, if he's not clear of a clear mind, then he's not going to be, then the glory you receive is uncertain also. Okay?
It just seems like that it's an imperfect act for you to do something for the end of being praised.
Right, but being praised for praiseworthy things.
But if the intention is to be praised.
Yeah. But
again, I think that's a very imperfect thing to do, right? So
but I don't think that you're doing it simply to be praised. He's just saying that it's vain, okay? So it's kind of hollow because he's not saying that you're doing it simply to be praised. But if you're receiving praise from somebody whose judgment is uncertain, then it's it's not. It's got a disorder in it. Okay, it's not like it's sinful. It's not like he's just saying that glory could be vain in three ways.
Okay.
Okay, so they're of different. They're of different characters here. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily not saying that it's sinful if an judgment a person with uncertain judgment is praising you. It's like, well, just don't reckon it as glory. Okay.
Okay.
And then the third is on the part of the man himself who seeks glory. So he says, for that he does not refer the desire of his own glory as a due end.
See?
So that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I think that he's saying that also for the other person.
Yeah, so this is where you're seeking glory for glory's sake. And you're doing it in order to you should be giving the glory to God.
Right.
Which would also be glorious, a glorious thing to do. Okay. So the thing is, when you receive glory, if you reckon yourself the source of the glorious action, that's where the disorder is. Okay. When you point the glory that you receive to God, you don't lessen your own glory. Okay. You just order it properly. In fact, you verily increase your glory.
It's almost like your actions magnify the
That's
Lord.
right. Indeed. That is what it's like. You should write that down. So anyway, those are the three ways.
I think Luke already did that.
Those are the three ways. And it's like, it makes sense. Okay, the thing, the person from whom you're receiving glory, and then the person who is receiving glory. Those are the three ways that your glory could be vain or disordered, right? And it doesn't mean that it's necessarily sinful, but maybe it is. Doesn't mean that it's not sinful. It's just saying it's vain glory. Could be vain.
I thought this whole episode was about you.
You probably think that this episode's about you. You're so vain. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's move on to the daughters. His wretched daughters.
Okay.
So, this is from the question. I forgot to write down the number again. But I'm sure it's the second part of the second part. I would bet $20 it's from the second part of the second part. Because it's always from the second part of the second part. Fifth article, whether the daughters of vainglory are suitably reckoned to be disobedience, boastfulness, hypocrisy, contention, obstinacy, discord, and love of novelties.
Which one strikes you? Which one do you really like? I want to talk about. Which one is like, wow?
I don't know. I don't. Well, we're going to talk about all of them.
We'll see.
We will. We'll be right back.
All right.
Okay. Here are the daughters.
Jim did not get the reference of this episode was about you at first.
You didn't, Jim?
I was looking at you. You did not get it at the very beginning.
Jim, you probably remember before that song came out. I don't.
Because you weren't alive.
That's what I mean.
Was that Carly Simon, like 1983 or something?
I don't know.
Isn't that it is? Is it Carly Simon?
I don't know. I don't know who Carly Simon is. It is. I'm a millennial, bro.
It is Carly Simon.
Jim
confirmed.
I'm a millennial.
What year?
1972.
72.
Yeah, I also thought
said
it was
83.
I also thought it was in the 70s, but
wow. Well, she wrote that song after breaking up with Cat Stevens.
I'll bet that dude was about himself. He seems like.
I mean, with a name like Cat.
Yeah. Is that even his real name?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Odd that that's the name you pick.
But you were like a cool cat back in the day.
But some people pick like Axl Rose.
That is a cool name. Cat Stevens is also a cool name, though. It actually works.
It works. It's just like not what I would go with.
Well, you're not ever gonna be as famous or as rich as Cat Stevens.
I'm totally okay with that.
Did he write the song about like the little boy being born and the dad was like, "Oh, sorry, son, I don't have time to play with you." The cat's in the cradle with the silver spoon.
No.
I think maybe I'm associating the cats.
That's Paul Simon or something like that.
Paul Simon? That doesn't sound
Simon
right.
and Garfunkel. Isn't that Simon and Garfunkel?
That doesn't sound right either. I'm saying no to both of those.
Henry Chapin.
Oh, I did not know that.
Henry Chapin?
1974.
It's not Chapin, it's Chapin. Well, that doesn't sound right either.
Nope.
Chapin?
Hmm.
Who is that dude? Well, that's a very sad and depressing song.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's talk about something lighthearted like the Daughters of Vainglory.
Vainglory.
Ready?
Dude, bro, I have been ready.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles here with Adam Minahan. We're talking about the 7 Daughters of Vainglory. I just read them right before the break, but I'll read them again. He's asking the question, he being St. Thomas Aquinas, whether the daughters of vainglory are suitably reckoned to be disobedience, boastfulness, hypocrisy, contention, obstinacy, discord, and love of novelties. My favorite one, I think you were asking me, is love of novelties, just because it's like, oh, how interesting.
What a novel thing to say.
Yes, and when we get into it, it's
seems like I really like it. Don't love it, but like it.
Yeah, you probably would. I mean, I think one does.
Is that Eros?
Yeah, everything is Eros. Even Storga is Eros. Agape, Eros. Philius, Eros. Let that sink in. Okay. So, he is saying that, I'll just use his own words. He says, now the end of vainglory is the manifestation of one's own excellence. And to this end, a man may tend in 2 ways. Okay, so these... May tend.
Okay.
So he's saying that these daughters, they fall into 2 categories.
Okay.
Only 2. In the past, it's been more than that. And each category was subdivided. Like when we did the Daughters of Wrath. It had a couple subcategories.
A, B.
Subvices.
Yeah.
Okay. So he says in one way, directly. So that's one category. So it can be directly either by words or his boasting. And that's boasting. So if you use words for your vainglory, you're boasting. I think everybody gets that. I think this is a very common form of vainglory when you brag about yourself, okay? Or by deeds. Now, deeds he's going to subdivide deeds here, okay?
Yeah, well, he should.
As one does. He says, if the deeds be true and call for astonishment, then the daughter is love of novelties. So that's what he says, love of novelties, where if you're like showing off, okay, look at what I can do. I'm
ambidextrous.
I can pop a wheelie.
I can take a little mini dirt bike down the road at 2
Exactly.
years old, 3 years
yeah,
old.
but he wasn't doing that to show off. He just wanted to do it. See,
you know,
there was a very
this is
pure
for
thing
me.
because he wanted to do it for the goodness of itself, okay? The goodness of the bike, of the ride. That was it. That's why I think he was satisfied even getting in trouble because his object was oriented towards the good. It's very philosophical of him. We're all very proud of him, even though it was disobedient, which actually is one of the daughters of vainglory. So maybe it wasn't so great, but he'll come around. He's only 3. Okay, so yeah, if you're like popping a wheelie or something, you're like, hey, look what I can do. And it's a real thing that you can do, okay? But it's not, it's still vainglory, right? It's not real glory because it's not oriented towards God. It's oriented towards yourself. And that's the key. That's the key distinction here. Okay. Any questions?
I don't think I have any questions. I think that seems. I mean, obviously, it like anytime you talk about morality and talk about moral ethics, intent matters, right? And so this is why I was trying to push on you at the on the other side of the break, because I wanted to understand exactly what you meant by it, like with being vainglory, the action itself, the people around you who comment, or for your own enjoyment or for your own sake.
Yeah, so
because the intent matters.
I think that there is a way where you could do something for the glory itself. Okay, and I'm talking about, I have in mind here the corporal works of mercy. Okay, so when a Christian decides out of love for Christ to store up treasures in heaven, okay, and to do good works and to be merciful, those are things he's doing for the glory of themselves. He doesn't, in this case, it's not glory in this life, okay? It's glory in the next, which is always properly oriented when we do things.
I work for the church. I'm banking on the retirement plan.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you need it.
I hear the retirement plan is out of this world.
And you'll probably die like early because you can't afford anything else. Can't afford to like go to the doctor or something. I don't know.
That's not true. We have great health insurance.
That's true. Actually, here at the Diocese of Tulsa and Eastern Oklahoma,
great health insurance.
It does seem like we do. But anyway, it's just a joke.
Yeah.
So that's what when I'm talking about like you can do things for the glory themselves. That's what I have in mind, which is different from a selfish seeking glory, where I am the one being glorified, because ultimately, when you're storing up treasure in heaven, you're seeking to glorify Christ, right? And that's the big distinction. Now, you're still doing it for the glory itself, but it's not your own glory, it's Christ's glory. So it's not so much that you're doing something for glory, but it's for whose glory?
It's like you no longer live for yourself, but Christ lives within you.
God, you should write that down. That is moving.
Just killing it over here.
I need to take a second and just. That was amazing, Adam.
Thank you.
So, does that make sense? Do you think that's a good clarification?
Yes.
Okay.
So when I read the Seven Daughters, The Love of Novelty also was one that I was like, ooh, what is that one
interested about? Yeah.
And then like now I'm not very interested about it at all.
Okay.
It was like it was. Well, it's kind of a flop.
It's interesting because when I hear the word disobedience, boastfulness, hypocrisy, all these other ones, like I know what those are. The love of novelties. Mm-hmm. What is that?
Like my curiosity. It's like.
Oh. It's kind of a novelty in and of itself.
Yeah.
Ironic. So the first way was directly. Those things were all fall into the
direct
category. In another way, a man strives to make known his excellence by showing that he is not inferior to another. And this is done in 4 ways. So and when he says 4 ways, it's not categories. These are just the other. We did 3 of them already. Now we're going to do the other 4.
So so the direct one.
Direct was boasting, deeds, and love of novelties. So these are things that I'm putting out. I'm actually doing. So these other ones are indirect because I'm showing I'm not inferior to someone else. It's not like, oh, look what I can do.
So the first part is oriented towards the act. The second part is oriented towards the people around you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, because in those first 3, you're showing off. Look what I can do. Mm-hmm. That's a direct glory. I'm
on the act.
Right. The other ones now are saying, well, I'm no worse than him. He's not better than me. I get as much glory as him.
So there's the comparison aspect. Which
we
are so bad. Like,
dude, I am not. I am so much better at this than everybody else.
Well, that's debatable.
Like, this is something I don't like. When I look at other people, I'm like, wow, you really struggle with that, and I don't.
There's 2 schools of thought here.
Okay, so the first, as regards the intellect. So this is probably going to be your favorite, Adam. We have obstinacy, by which a man is too much attached to his own opinion. I just said that because it's the intellectual part, and I know you like the intellectual life. while I'm over here just having one, and it's like, yeah, it's great. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so if you're trying to show that I'm not my intellect is no worse than anybody else, you're going to be obstinate, right? I'm too attached to my own opinions, and you're unwilling to believe that another's opinion is better.
This is something that I think that the academia world, like, this would be something I could see if I worked in the academia world, like if I worked as a professor, or or if I was, I don't know, somebody, some kind of doctorate or something like that. This would be something that would be very difficult, right? Because you study something, you're an expert in a specific field. Somebody else comes in and they say something, and we've seen this even in the medical field, right? Like, you study medicine your whole life, right? And you're saying X, and then somebody else who's never studied medicine before in their life, they're like, well, this doesn't make sense. Why are you doing that? And you're like, I'm not even listening to you. Listen, I've been at the medical school.
Right. People are so concerned about their own reputation. They're afraid that their reputation is going to be tarnished if somebody has a fair critique of what they're, which is just not true. Just not true, So what he's doing here on these indirect ones is he's saying there's an intellect, a will, speech, and deeds. So we're going to get back to speech and deeds again. Okay, so he said he's broken up into 4 ways. Those ways are intellect, which is obstinacy.
Will.
Now we're going to talk about the will. Then it's speech, and then deeds. So as regards to the will, we have discord, whereby man is unwilling to give up his own will and agree with others. So it's very similar to obstinacy, except it's not opinions. It's just like my will. I don't want to do that. I want to do what I want to do.
Well, and this is what you see on Twitter all the time, right? Like, or like social media in general. There's an argument that's put forth. They're sitting there arguing about it. It's very clear one person has won this discussion in this discord,
and one person is just entrenched.
And they just like.
But on Twitter, it's probably more obstinacy than it is discord, because with discord we're talking about the will, whereas obstinacy is about opinions. And typically on Twitter, people are discussing opinions more than like action, or it's like, I'm just not willing to do the thing that you're wanting me to do. I think if you're on a hike, I think we should go left. No, I think we should go right. They're similar in that your will is informed by your opinions, right? But one is on deeds, whereas one is on opinions.
Okay, I understand. I thought, we'll talk about.
Well, actually, we're going to get back to deeds again, but.
Okay, well, we're out of time on Catholic Radio. Go check us out on the podcast, thecatholicmanshow.com. You can subscribe to all of our podcasts. We have over 350 some odd episodes. We're on the Lord's team,
the winning side.
So raise your glass.
And cheers to Jesus.
So my thought was there.
So when I said deeds there.
Hold on, because I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose my train of thought.
Oh, okay.
So my thought there was that intellectually they have realized, no, my opinion is not right. Yet their will is not willing to move. Intellectually they've come to the conclusion, I'm not right, but their will has overpowered their intellect, so to speak, or whatever.
Yeah. So I think that obstinacy and discord, they're definitely sisters, right? They're heavily related.
Well,
all of them are sisters, but I think that these two are, these two are like fraternal twins.
Okay. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, because how do you separate the will and the intellect? They're separate capacities. These are separate powers that we had, that the human person possesses. But the will is informed by the intellect.
Right.
Right. Okay. And
the intellect by reason.
Okay. So, but I think on Twitter, most of the time, you're talking about opinions, and he specifically says with obstinacy. So, as regards the intellect, we have obstinacy, by which a man is too much attached to his own opinions, being unwilling to believe that another's is better than his own.
See, that's different though. It's because intellectually they still think they're right, even though they're wrong. They're intellectually.
Okay, so you're talking about when someone is aware that I am wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. But I see that point.
But they're not willing to.
Now it's their will.
Right. They're not willing to.
Intellectually is not the problem.
That's
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I see the distinction.
Cool. At least that was my understanding.
That's very good.
Listen, this is your topic. I have not had a chance to.
No. I'm glad you clarified, because at first I didn't see quite what you meant, but I see it more fully. I can see clearly now.
The rain has gone.
The rain is gone. Yeah. Okay, so then with will, we have discord, whereby a man is unwilling to give up his own will and agree with others. Thirdly, as regards speech, and then we have contention, whereby a man quarrels noisily with another. So this one is harder for me to come up with a good example, I guess, if you're just quarreling. Once again.
Well, let me give you a perfect example.
Twitter.
Let me give you a perfect example.
Okay.
Juan and I one night spent 3 hours discussing what a continent it was and how many continents there actually are in the world.
He's really attached to the five model. The five continent model, which he was raised on. He's
wrongly.
He's absurdly attached to the five continent model.
But we spent 3 hours.
Do not. If you have the pleasure of meeting our dear friend Juan Posada, do not ask him how many continents there are, because it will not be a pleasant. It will no longer be a pleasant experience for you
or anybody.
And he will not back down.
No. But
that's the one thing about our friend Juan. He doesn't back down.
No.
Which has
he's like Tom Petty in this aspect. Like he just won't
I won't back down.
Yeah.
No, I won't.
Yeah.
Back down.
Man, we have had
we're really feel like we're hitting it out of the park.
So anyway, but at some point, I realized, because we were arguing for 3 hours about this.
I remember.
Because you left.
I left.
And then came back, and you were like, "What? You guys are still talking about this?"
I will slap you both in the face.
But at some point, we were just quarreling. I think just for the sake of quarreling.
Right. Well, it's like.
I mean, we were just like.
Well, the thing is, there are 7 continents. Okay, that's just a reality.
But who makes? Never mind.
So, I think Juan is in the wrong here. We said we were going to throw him under the bus when we started this episode.
You know what? We did.
And so,
we want to be men of our word.
I'm just trying to make
chivalrous.
I'm just trying to make an argument from your perspective, because obviously I agree that there are 7 continents. Out of charity, you want his mind and his thinking to be in accord
with reality.
Yeah, with reality. So it was only out of charity that you continued to argue senselessly for 3 hours. That's obviously not true.
Would that be an example, though?
I think it could be. Because once again, we're talking about the indirect. We had the direct, where we already covered speech. Remember? So where speech directly was boasting, putting out how awesome I am. Now we're talking about indirect, whereas I'm simply using my speech to tear other people down. So I'm not, because what you're trying to do is show I'm no worse than them. I'm not inferior to another.
That example doesn't work.
Yeah, I think it would honestly be more obstinacy.
Okay.
That you're just simply not willing to accept the other's opinion, no matter if it's based on facts or not.
Okay.
So contention is when you're just quarreling because you want to make yourself, or you want to make sure that the other person is not viewed higher than you are.
Okay.
Right? We get a lot of that in
politics,
yes. And then finally, so we did speech and we came back to it, and we did deeds. Now we're coming back to it. As regards deeds, this is disobedience, whereby a man refuses to carry out the commands of his superiors. So before, when we were doing deeds in a direct way, a positive way, like, hey, look what I can do, it was love of novelties. And now it's, I'm not going to accept your command, your authority. I'm not going to, once again, all of these latter ones come back to a refusal of the other person's ideas, words, right? Like, no, I refuse to accept your ideas. I refuse to accept your decision. I refuse to accept the things that you've said. I refuse to accept your legitimate authority, right? There's just a rejection of the other person.
We see this a lot in just the Catholic world, right? authority is a big thing in the Catholic world. Don't know if you guys know this. Authority is a big thing.
It's a big thing. It's a big deal
in the Catholic world. And I just think that we're so quick to characterize or to like not give the other party the benefit of the doubt, to tribalize, to really think the worst about that person's opinion because they think something differently than you.
Yeah.
That we're like, well, even if that's what you say, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that our arguments aren't our own. Like very few people are actually sitting down and giving their own thought to the arguments and coming up with their own verbiage on those thoughts, okay? And instead, we use talking points, okay? For instance, let me give you an example. You're talking to somebody whom you disagree with, but you're having a civil and good discussion. And then they use the word inclusive. They talk about wanting to be inclusive, okay? And right away, the word inclusive sets off alarm bells. Because we have the news cycle and we have talking points now that everybody gets familiarized, the words themselves have taken sides.
Right. I mean, this is the problem with, we think things in like grammar, logic.
Right. So the words have become tribalized.
Right.
Because certain tribes have it just like,
well, they've taken over grammar. So
it's just like kids on the dodgeball field trying to, like, hey, who's going to be on my team? It's like, all right, well, I want this kid, I want that kid. So the words, that word now belongs to the other team, to the other side. And so if it gets used, all of a sudden it's, it becomes more of a tribal discussion, like you were saying. And it's part of that is because we have this 24-hour news cycle with, constant media, which has its advantages, but it also has plenty of very obvious disadvantages.
I think it's a net negative.
I do too.
And I'm coming from a communications department.
Yeah, no, I absolutely do because the news has almost, and I want to use the word nothing, but I'm going to qualify it with a very heavy almost nothing to do with your holiness.
Right.
You'd be a holier person in most cases without it.
Have you ever read or listened to the book Amusing Yourself to Death?
No,
Neil
I
Postman?
haven't.
It's phenomenal. If you're looking for an Audible credit, like to
burn, sounds like a nice time though.
Yeah. If you are looking for an Audible credit to burn, like you're looking for one.
Okay.
Amusing Yourself to Death.
I think I do have like 8 Audible credits.
Neil Postman, really really great book. Neil Postman, almost everything that he has written has been pretty solid. He's well worth checking out.
We haven't done an episode on that idea, have we?
No, I've when I listened to it the first time, because I audiobooked it, I didn't read it.
Yeah.
I was listening to it and I was like, man, this is so good. I really want to do an episode on this. But I wasn't taking notes at the time, as I was listening to it.
It's hard to do on an audiobook.
And it's a great topic, and it deserves, to be able to like take time to write, to flesh it out.
A book that you had me read that I was really glad to see Exodus 90 do a book study on was Achadia and Its Discontents by R.J. Snell.
Yeah.
They just did a book study.
Acedia.
It's Achadia or Acedia. It's either one.
It's like, it's tomato or tomato. No one says tomato. It's acedia.
Achadia is the more traditional pronunciation because it's a Latin word.
It's acedia.
And if you were to say it in Latin, it would be Achadia. I heard it as Achadia first, and so in my mind, it's Achadia. It's hard for me to get on the Acedia tribe.
Anyway, go ahead.
But anyway, that is also a very good book.
It is.
I was really glad you had me read that because it's like one of those books that really makes you like stop and think about your existence and your life. Very profound. Good book.
Just people.
A little bit on the heavy side.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it is.
It is.
It's a heavy read.
Yeah.
Because it's talking about metaphysical realities as well.
Yeah, it's still, if you don't know philosophy, you can still read the book.
Yeah.
There are some books, if you don't know philosophy, you just simply can't read. That's not one of them. but it's not a light read.
Gary Lagrange.
Yeah, looking at you, the caribou. Anyway, those are the 7 daughters.
Okay, so
of Vainglory.
I'd like to end though on a positive note, like let's,
all right,
because sometimes when we do these, like
the daughters,
the daughters, it's like, man, okay, well that was heavy. Like, I mean, that girl is fat. That was I would like to end maybe more on a positive note.
Okay.
Like, and talk about so.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. So, what is how do you counter vainglory, right? So it has to be humility.
Humility.
Right? Humility would be.
Yeah, I think humility.
Um,
because once again, the glory is not the problem; it's the vanity in the glory, and humility is the antidote to vanity. So glory is good. It's glorious. Glory is nothing but glorious.
I mean, blue was glorious.
Yeah. So you can't say glory is anything other than glorious.
Old school reference.
Yeah. We try not to make those kinds of references here on the show, even though they do happen. So it's not the glory that's the problem. And I think there's a tendency to blame the glory.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, here we are, we're like an hour and a half in or whatever it is, but I think this is like a really good point.
I think there's a tendency to blame the glory.
There's like 6 people listening right now.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Hey, that's half the number that Jesus needed.
There's 6 people listening right now. I'm only talking to 3 of them. Okay? Maybe. So it's not the glory that's the problem. Glory is good. Okay? Mm-hmm. And we should all be seeking glory in order to build the kingdom, not for our own sake, but for the sake of the kingdom, for the sake of Christ's kingship in the world, okay? We being his subjects and members of his own body. However, it's the vanity, it's the emptiness, it's the disorder, if you want to call it. I think vainglory could also just be disordered glory. We could call it that. And that's essentially what we've been talking about. Here are the 7 ways that glory can be disordered in your own life. You could either because you're seeking it for a disordered object or in a disordered way.
Inward or outward.
Inward or outward, right.
Internal or external. And so I think that, let's see, overcoming vainglory. The fight to overcome vainglory, or to be full of pride over your own achievements, is not an easy one. You can only win by secretly working on the virtues and frequently praying. A sign that you will have been successful is that you do not harbor resentment against anyone that have accused you in the past or presently accuses you. That is from looks like what that looks like.
Some bald dude.
Maximus the Confessor.
Ooh. I think another
hold on let me okay. Just so I don't lose, because I want to make sure that I use that was good, Jim. Thank you for sharing that. But I think a person that we can look to in this aspect and really model the way he handled this was Fulton Sheen, Archbishop Fulton Sheen. Uh-huh. Here's a man who had a lot of cameras, a lot of eyes. Like he was
a lot of glory.
A lot of glory.
Yeah.
Right. He was like the number one.
Even worldly glory. I mean, he had fame.
Right.
Not even just glory. He had fame, which is different.
But he made sure that for I think he said every hour that he gave a speech, he spent 2 hours in prayer, which I don't know how mathematically that could possibly work out if he did not sleep.
Well, when you're single.
Yeah, dude. Sometimes I think about that. Like if I didn't have a wife or
no
family,
wife, no kids.
I would take over the world.
Yeah.
Right. I literally think I would take over the world. And this is totally vainglory.
And everyone would be happy about it.
I mean, there's so many things I would do.
Well, you have the hair for it. I mean, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But
I might not have very good judgment.
But I think Archbishop Fulton Sheen is a perfect example and model for us to look after. Here's a guy who wrote books and was on TV shows and radio shows, and just everybody knew who he was during that time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very clear he was not doing it for himself.
Oh, yeah.
Right. He was doing it for the greater glory of God and
to build the kingdom. He was doing it as a shepherd.
Right.
Out of charity. I mean, he was just really a shepherd.
And he was just so I think like he'd be a perfect
He was
model.
so shepherdy.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
No, I think that's a great example. I was gonna say something too, but I don't remember it, and it not that big of a deal.
Dude, do you like? He's saying cut it, but I'm gonna.
I don't listen to Jim.
There's man, I was gonna have you give a hot take, and I can't remember what I was gonna say.
Oh, I'm happy to do it.
Oh, I know. That's what's made this show. Is your hot takes. Yeah, I can't remember. Man, that's a bummer. But yeah, so I think like so humility.
Humility.
And by doing that, achieving that, you have to have the prayer. You have to have a prayer life.
And really, like I'm the person you should ask that question.
Right.
Because of my humility.
It's known worldwide. Okay,
I didn't say it.
There was something that I really wanted to talk about, but it was actually not on subject. So maybe I'll figure it out later.
Did it have anything to do with a baked bean cleanse?
No.